Hey, Industrial Farmer Joe.
Hey, Sustainable Farmer George.
Why are you here in this forest?
I am the CEO of Hostess. I'm scouting prospects for land.
Wait, why are you planning to do that?
I'm going to put a factory here and I need to get rid of all these trees.
No, you can't. There are so many animals and plants that this forest is a home to.
Well, I need to make money.
Why would you do this?
I understand that there are many plants and animals that this will destroy and relocate, but this factory is for food that will feed many people. It is either them or us, and in my opinion, we have to do what's right for the people.
I get what you're saying, but it's not that simple. In your opinion, you're doing the right thing where you're saving people's lives in the short term by giving them food. Is that right?
Exactly.
However, if your goal is to save lives, then you're doing that short term, but you're doing even worse damage long term. By getting rid of all these trees, you're destroying the planet. Building a factory might save a few lives now, but by destroying the planet, you get rid of all lives later on.
The world is going down the drain anyways. One more factory isn't going to make a difference. Plus, at least it's for a good cause.
Do you work at a corporation?
Yeah, why?
You say what you're doing is in order to feed more people, but unless you're scouting for a nonprofit organization, then your intentions can't be that pure.
What do you mean? Food goes on people's plate, right? Then we are feeding them.
Okay, so your thinking isn't necessarily incorrect, but it is flawed.
How so?
For people able to pay, there's more than enough food. So the problem for food sustainability isn't that there's not enough food for customers at this point of time. A bunch of factors draw into it. There's the point that there's an increasing population or that there's a spreading problem of poverty. These people aren't able to purchase food from corporations and rely on charities or their own farming.
I see, but isn't that money problems instead of my problem for putting a factory here?
It's a problem for sustainable farming in general. You say that this doesn't affect you, but it does. There may be two situations which would somewhat justify tearing down these trees in order to make room for farming.
What might that be?
Well, there could be the possibility of making your food more accessible.
How would I do that?
Well, you could either start a charity offshoot where you help feed the hungry or make your food more affordable.
That's a good idea that I will consider. We might take a hit on profits, but still, I think it might help bring some good to this world. Out of curiosity, what's the other idea?
You should find a better method of making your food without destroying the planet.
So I should build a factory where there isn't life already?
That's one way to do it. The other way would be to not build a factory as they pollute our ecosystem and instead actually farm the products themselves.
That's kind of going to be hard. Building a Twinkie farm isn't exactly easy.
I'm not saying you have to necessarily go in that extreme route. The point I'm trying to make is for you to make cutbacks that don't harm the planet as much.
I still have some concerns.
What might that be?
How are farms better than factories? Don't they also get rid of space for animals and other plants?
Not exactly. There is, of course, situations where people do destroy the forest to build farmland, but there are also plenty of farms made organically without disturbing the ecosystem.
Really?
Yeah, an example of this would be rice farming. This is a crop which produces one of the world's largest staples, yet it is produced without destroying the natural environment.
Oh wow, I never thought of that.
Yeah, because of the environment in which it grows, it is actually one of the few crops able to be produced there. This is one of the reasons farming is better than factories. They can utilize the lands in which others can't.
Then why don't we all start growing rice?
Well, there's a couple complicated reasons for that.
What might those be?
First, while rice grows best in those environments, that also means it's difficult to grow in other environments which are drier.
That's understandable. You don't see very many rice paddies in somewhere like California.
China is a perfect example for this topic. Due to constant modernization, there's an increasing cultivated land loss.
Oh, so in order to keep up with modern society, they're also getting rid of their food sources?
Precisely, and not to pick on China, but their system is flawed enough that it can continue to be used as an example for the rest of the world. While China is predicted to be able to meet standards to feed their population, what cost does it come at?
I don't understand.
Another trouble that flaws their agriculture is the use of dangerous chemicals, pesticides, and fertilizers. So while they might be able to make it work, they could also be poisoning their people.
Plus, that ties back into what you were saying earlier about it doesn't matter short term because they'd be ruining themselves in the long term.
Now you're starting to get it.
What I don't get though is that if this was dangerous, then the government would have stopped them.
While I understand that you think that the government would protect its people, however, countries like China have lax agriculture laws which allow them to do what they want.
Really? Like what type of laws?
For example, China's land consumption uses almost twice as much fertilizers as most other countries. The government doesn't care about the lasting effects so long as it satisfies feeding the population and able to maintain profits.
What do you mean by lasting effects?
This overconsumption saturates the soil and can leak into the water supply, leading to both health problems and problems with the ecosystem.
It can't be that bad. China does have the biggest population in regards to countries, so they are alive after all.
I feel the need to reiterate, while you're right in addressing that they have problems, China is just an example. I'm trying to describe an overarching problem in the agricultural and sustainable food community. If they keep destroying their own land, then they won't have anything left to farm or produce on and lose the future food security that they have left now due to things like the fact that they have the highest pesticide consumption in the world. Providing now means that they can't keep up at this rate.
How do they fix it if it's happening on such a large scale?
One way that many farmers used to and still use today is the rotation system on crops.
I'm not aware of what that is.
Pretty much, this system is dividing up land into several parts and only using one at a time. After you harvest the crops on one, then you plant on the next. The time between farming gives the soil time to recover and regain its natural ingredients.
That's smart. Everyone should do that.
Yes, this is best for the soil which lines our planet, but you more than anyone should know the reason behind not doing it.
I don't follow.
Well, by doing this, people are not able to maximize their profits. They are giving up farm space by doing so and not producing as much food as they possibly can.
I think you've actually started to sway me towards the side of sustainable food.
It might be better for our planet, but so long as there's money to be made, it will never be done. The general lesson here that I'm trying to create is that you are correct in some standings about how factories have some positive aspects, however, it would be better for the planet if you didn't go in that direction. Granted, this doesn't call for your company going extreme and changing as a whole, just make minor cutbacks that make sustainable food better.
Wow, you've convinced me on so many points today. I'm off to start my organic Twinkie farm elsewhere.